All right. Thank you guys so much for showing up. My name is Che Van Air. I lived in Yonkers my whole life, and I organized this event because of change. Throughout the recent couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of violence, a lot of aggression, a lot of things ripping apart our nation. And as young people, it's time to stand up and vote. So I prepared a speech for you guys. I want to read it to you, and I want to, just start from there. And then we'll have some speakers, and then we'll tell you about voting and where you can vote. We're actually registering people to vote, so here we go.
Awesome. Woo! Let's get it started.
So I helped organize this event for one reason, that's change. The recent events we have seen have rocked our nation, but unfortunately these are not isolated events. Time and time again we have seen negativity, hatred, and violence echo throughout this country, and time again we see the same cycle. We get angry, we protest, a minor change is made, someone goes to prison, and then we forget and move on. But this time must be different. This time we must not forget, we must not let those lives be taken in vain. A driving force of change in this country must come from three areas. That's three. The first one is education. Lack of education breeds ignorance, and ignorance breeds hatred. I've lived here my entire life. I have seen the horrific status of our educational system in Yonkers. I've seen the funding for our schools repeatedly slashed, teachers laid off, sports, physical education, and the arts decimated. That changes now, and that changes today.
Right.
Today we demand a change from politicians to tell them that we will no longer accept the state of our education system in Yonkers any longer. Where one of the largest cities in education is disgusting. The next area we must focus on is protest. Protest is key because without it, your rights wither and die. We must keep up the protest while at the same time reminding them who has the power. We, the people, have the power. Do not forget that. Never forget it. I've heard many times that people seeking change, people asking for government assistance and help are just looking for handouts and free stuff. That rhetoric is incorrect. Never forget that's our money. We, the taxpayer, fund everything in this country, everything in this state, and everything in around us. And just if we have the power, we can easily take it all away. Hit them where it hurts, protest, and protest with your wallets as well.
Yes, sir.
The third and final area, and the one the most important, is voting. I speak to our generation now. In Yonkers especially, voting and activism among ages 18 to 35 are horrendously low. It is our responsibility and our destiny to be a catalyst for change and to couple our protests and anger with voting. Without voting, they will continue to exploit us, continue to silence us, and continue to uphold the status quo. Always remember they've stolen elections through voter suppression, gerrymandering, and many other tactics, and now they're trying to do it again. Always remember real reform comes from the ballot box, and you can't ever stand neutral on a moving train. To all the politicians in Yonkers, New York State, within the federal government, our generation has one message for you. We are coming for you. To anyone upholding the status quo, we are coming for you. To anyone who voted to extend their own term limits without seeking a referendum from the people, we are coming for you. To anyone who has allowed our schools to suffer and die the way they have, we are coming for you. To anyone who held down people of color, we are coming for you. To Donald Trump, we are coming for you. Change is coming. I know you all feel it, Mayor, and I feel it too. I don't know about you, but I'm tired. And if you're tired as me, then stand up for yourself. The time is now, right here, right now. The cycle ends. We break the wheel now, today. If you aren't registered to vote, we will register you. We have people registered to vote right over here in this corner. We'll explain to you the process. I know it can be a little bit difficult not being, aware of everything, and that's deliberate. They keep you in the dark for a reason. You have to vote. Remember these dates. On June 23rd, the day of the New York primary, that's the Democratic primary. You register as a Democrat, you can vote. So you have to already be registered. If you're not registered, we'll register you. Unfortunately, you'll not be able to vote then, but we will be able to get you to vote in November, which is just as important. And so just remember, today is the day we change not only our city, we change our state, we change our country, and we kick that racist right out of the White House. We have a tremendous program for you. We got a lot of speakers today. And I'm going to turn it over to Hector, the co-organizer. Bowman first? Okay. So this is Jamal Bowman. He's running for New York 16. In encumbrances in Yonkers, the Bronx, and many other regions of Westchester. It's really important. He's a teacher. I love teachers. I had a lot of teachers change my life. He's also a principal in middle school. He's got a slew of endorsements from people like AOC, the Justice Democrats, the teachers unions. He's a man of the people. And his incumbent has been around for 31 years, and he did his thing, but now it's time for a change. And I endorse and support that change with Jamal Bowman.
Thank you, brother. Hey, listen, brother, I'm gonna wipe the mic. It's no offense. I'm gonna wipe the mic. No offense.
No, of course.
We're in a pandemic right now. Gotta be careful. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. Love the signs. Love the shirts. Black Lives Matter. F the system. Absolutely. That's the #1 reason why I decided to run for office. So my name is Jamal Bowman. I'm running to be your congressperson in New York's 16th district. For the last 20 years, I've worked in public education. I started my career as an elementary school teacher before becoming a guidance counselor. And for the last 10 years, I've been a middle school principal in the Bronx. And after working in education for 8 years and seeing how underfunded and under-resourced our schools were and seeing how neglected our communities were, I decided to do something about it. So I organized parents, teachers, and students to begin brainstorming ideas for a new revolutionary public middle school in the Bronx. We wrote the proposal in 2009, and in 2009 September, the Cornerstone Academy for Social Action Middle School was born. And that's where I served as a principal for the last 10.5 years. Now, when we opened our school, we didn't want to do school as business as usual. We wanted to make transformative change. And I believe in one thing, the unlimited potential of our young people to make transformative change in our communities. Our young people are brilliant. Our children are brilliant, and it is our job to give them the resources and create the opportunities for them to not just survive, but to thrive. And that's why we opened the school. Unfortunately, they still had to go home into their communities. And when you live in communities that are neglected, you suffer from toxic stress and chronic trauma because of poverty. And that comes from bad policy that comes from Washington. And Elliot Engel, who's been in office 31 years, has never been a leader or fighter on any of these issues. That's why in parts of the district you continue to see wealth and development, and places like Yonkers you continue to see suffering. That's unacceptable. When the COVID pandemic hit, it was very easy for us to write a $1.5 trillion check for Wall Street, but we did not bail out Main Street. We did not bail out working class people. We did not bail out immigrants, documented and undocumented. Because guess what? Undocumented immigrants work their asses off too. And they pay taxes too. And if they have children, you're supposed to give them a stimulus check for their children. So the issue is Donald Trump, yes. But the issue is also institutional racism, sexism, and classism, which has existed in this country since the inception of this country. So we have an opportunity on June 23rd for transformational change. If we vote Elliot Engel out and you support Jamal Bowman as the next congressperson, we make transformative change in this district and in this country. Because guess what? When Elliot Engel, when the pandemic hit this community, Elliot Engel was in Maryland. He said he was going to be in Co-op City. He said he was going to be in Mount Vernon giving out groceries. And when a reporter knocked on his door, he answered the door with a robe in Maryland. So not only was he not here during our most difficult time, he lied about it. Then when he returned to the district and wanted to speak at a rally similar as this, and the borough president told him he didn't have time for him to speak, he said, and I quote, "If I didn't have a primary, I would not care." That's what he said. Whatever context you want to look at it, that's what he said. If he didn't have a primary, he wouldn't care. Guess what? I've been doing community work in the Bronx for over 20 years. I don't need to speak when I go to a rally because people know the work that I've done. They know the work. When they know the work, you don't have to take the mic. But he only cared because he was in the primary. And if he wasn't in the primary, he would have been in Maryland. So it's time to vote him out. So I appreciate y'all. I love all of y'all. And let me say this. If you continue to show up like this, through Yonkers, through the district, through the country, you're going to force our elected officials to write policy that meets the needs of working class people. You have to force them to do it. Because guess what? When you look at American history, slavery was ended because of the abolitionist movement. Jim Crow was ended because of the civil rights movement. Woman oppression was ended because of the women's movement. It took movements and the people rising up to make transformative change in this country. So I thank you for your support. Go to bowmanforcongress.com to learn more. You can learn all about my career. I'm not just doing this because I'm running for office. I've been doing this for my entire life. Love you all. Have a great day. Mic check. You say a rhyme now? I can say a rhyme.
Let's give him another round of applause, please. I just want to say first, thank you all for coming, right? There's a lot going on with the Board of Election ever since the corona, and we need everyone here to, after this rally, get the information out to the community as fast as possible. Your seniors, your neighbors, and so throughout the program, we're going to be updating everybody on the polling sites. What can you do about absentee voting? If you need to register to vote, we have registrations right here. We also have tablets so you can update your voters registration. And so right now I want to bring up our City Council President, Mike Cater, to share a few words with us.
Thanks, Hector. It's going to be hard to top off that speech, but here's the common word: change. We're in front of the Veterans Memorial, where Americans gave their life for democracy. And we're hearing about change. And make no mistake, the establishment does not want change. Our history, our country is going through a transformative moment now, and we're making history. I gotta take this off. We're making history. This election is gonna show, are we a democracy, or is it an illusion of a democracy? So now we're all gonna vote here. That's clear. I don't care if you're with Sammy, you're with Jamal, you're with whoever, but you gotta go out there and vote. The words, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that's not afforded to many people. All men are created equal. That's not happening. And how we're gonna even the playing field is by the youth. Each and every single one of you going out there and making that change. You cannot rely on the establishment. The establishment does not want change. The establishment wants the status quo. That's why I'm here. And recently this week, I've been under fire because as I see what's going on, and you see the systemic racism, you see the economic racism, you see the door for upward mobility isn't given to many people, I decided to change an endorsement for an incumbent. And I decided to endorse the challenger, an outsider, somebody that's going against the establishment, somebody that they don't want in because they don't want change. Late last year, I had the privilege of meeting Mimi Roca. Got to see her resume and all the great things she did. When I met with her, there was a synergy. She was a breath of fresh air. She was the change that we're all talking about. So if you want that economic change, educational change, ending systemic racism, it has to start at the top of law enforcement, the top of the criminal justice system in Westchester County. So if you want that, I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you, you vote for Mimi Roca from now to June 23rd. Without further ado, please invite up our next district attorney, Mimi Roca.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for showing up. And I gotta say, there's a lot of people here that I owe a lot to. Shanae Williams, Tasha Diaz, and people here who've worked on my campaign, who have been out there in the field doing the work. Hector, who's filming me as I'm speaking. But I gotta give a special shout out to Mike Cater, because it takes guts to go against the party machine. It does. And Mike has guts, you know, and for him in particular to do this in this moment means so much to me. And I want to just give you a little bit of insight as to why I think he did it. Right now, so I was a federal prosecutor for 16 years. I'm running for DA to take over the district attorney office, okay? We are in, people call it a moment, we're in a movement. I hope it's a movement and not a moment. But how do we get from these rallies to real systematic change that we are all fighting for? We get there by having the people who are in charge in the system be people who are fighting for change. And that is what I am going to do. And I've been talking about this since before this movement. I've been talking about it since the day I announced I pledged not to take donations from police unions back in December. The current DA has taken over $10,000 in police union donations since 2016, including just this past month in February. And he's not yet pledging to give it back. So it's no wonder that he's weak when it comes to prosecuting police corruption and brutality. We need someone who is independent, who is willing to fight and do the right thing and not just what's going to get them, you know, the next big campaign donation. So I spent the past 2.5 years after I left the U.S. Attorney's Office speaking out on TV against number one enemy, Donald Trump. That is our number one mission. Get rid of that guy. He has got to go. And that's going to happen. But I am telling you now, the only way for us to make the change that we want happen, we cannot rely on even a Democratic president for that. We can't even rely on a Democratic Senate for that. They'll do their part. But we need the change here, in our county, in our cities, in our backyards. That's what I'm fighting for, so please, follow Mike, be like Mike, and vote for me. You can start voting now, early voting till June 23rd. And if you have any questions, I'm here to talk. Thank you.
Let's give Mimi another round of applause. So I just want to share some of the information on early voting. Get this out. If you're on live right now, tell all your friends to share it. Our community needs to know. When things like this happen, it's our community that gets affected. This is like the modern day voter suppression. So the only two places in Yonkers right now are the public libraries. The Will Library and the Riverfront Library. You can do early voting starting today, January 13th, all the way to election. I'm sorry. No, not January, that's not, yeah, right. June 13th to June 23rd, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Wednesdays, Mondays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Tuesdays, Thursdays, 5 p.m. Saturdays, and Sundays. Again, the two poll places in Yonkers is the Will Library and the Yonkers Riverfront Library. Next, I would like to call up one of our very own council members who faced adversity just trying to get onto the council. She took the community on her back with her, and she represents us and does a great job. So let's give it up for Tasha Diaz, please. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Tasha Diaz. Put some respect on the name.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to see everybody here today. This time last year, I was in this very position. I was the underdog. I was the one that they counted out. I was the one that they said, don't worry about her, she's not going anywhere. But look where I am today. I had one of the most hardest primaries. I had a 3-way primary, and I came in with over 54% of the vote. So that says a lot. I started off as a community person. I was born and raised in Yonkers. I'm a product of Yonkers Public Schools. as is my children, and as are my foster children. I stand here before you as a leader, promising you once again that change is on its way. It started here with me. The community came out and stood with me and walked with me and overcame every hurdle and obstacle that I went through. That's why it is important for you to vote. When people say, my vote doesn't matter, yes it does. That one vote can be that vote to take that candidate that you choose over the finish line. I walk tirelessly every day. Every time I came home and I looked at my children, I said, I'm doing this for you. And I told them I would not back down unless I win. And that's what I did. So when I saw Mimi Roca, I saw a winner in her. I seen the same kind of fight, energy, and passion in her that I had. Everyone ran away from me. I can count on my hands how many people stood with me. But you know what? Thank you. Because I'm here to say, it doesn't matter how many people you have standing with you. What it matters is you have the passion, the desire, and the drive to stand there and stand up for what's right. Even if you're the only person fighting, your words will be heard. And that's what I did. So when Mimi started her campaign, that was the first person I went to, and I said, I will fight this fight with you. Because I know how it feels to be on the outside. I've taken people in my community by the hand to go and vote. Do you know they've called me and told me I was wrong for doing that? Why? Why do they want voter suppression? Because they don't want change. This is one of the reasons why we need to go out and fight for what we want. I've always been a fighter my entire life, and I will continue to fight for Yonkers, the city that I love, the city that I was born and raised in, the city that my children will be raised in. I still reside in the very district that I lived in my whole life. My family raised 4 generations there. We were not chased out. And I will not let anyone here be chased out because they want to be on the right path. Continue to stay on the right path. The first start is to vote. They told me I was different, that I wasn't going to go anywhere. But different is what the community wanted. Change is what the community wanted. I look like a regular community person. I'm not the person that's going to come to your door in a suit and tie. Because that's the person you know is not working. If you're a real candidate, you know what it takes when it knocks on these doors. So when you see someone in a shirt and tie, that's the person that's coming there for a photo op. That's the person you need to look back and say, is that the person that I want to represent me? Can you relate to that person? If the person is not relatable, that is not the person for you. You don't vote by signs. You don't vote because someone stuck palm cards in your door. You vote because you've seen that person in the community, and that person is for change. Make sure June 23rd, you go out and you take a neighbor by each hand and you say, let's go and make the change together. That's the only way we're going to get change. So please, June 23rd, go out and vote.
Mike is on fire. All right, so let's give Tasha a round of applause again. I need everybody to understand it's so important this year to vote. And I'm going to echo her words. Please, when you go to vote, bring somebody with you. Share the information, the 2 polling sites in Yonkers to vote. I want to share a quote from Plateau. It says, one of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. We need to participate. If you want change, be part of the change, and this is how. I want to call up Shanae Williams, our 1st District Councilwoman. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Hello, Yonkers! You guys are dead. I'm sorry. Hello, Yonkers! Yes. Hello. I'm going to take this off for a second. I'm really happy to be here and to welcome all of you to this district because I am lucky enough, blessed enough to represent this area. You know, over the past few weeks, we've been seeing a lot of rallies, a lot of prayer marches, a lot of vigils, and this has been a really wonderful thing. We are literally in the midst of a revolution. This is the revolution. But what happens when the marches die down and when the rallies stop? What happens to the revolution then? There are people that are out there that's waiting for the revolution to end right here and right now. There are people that's waiting for us to stop marching in these streets and demanding change. But we cannot let that happen. We have to keep the momentum and we have to know what we want. We have to demand it and be purposeful and make sure it happens. But it's not going to happen until we start to vote, until we start to organize. I have to say I am a little sad to see the little bit of people that's here today. Because just a couple weeks ago, there were thousands of people right in front of this place, right here at City Hall. Where are they? But that's okay, we're here. And we're learning. And we know that the only way to get change is to let our voices be heard. We have to vote, but before we vote, we have to know who we are voting for. We have to know what the issues are and what we want changed. So we have to come together and be engaged and talk about those changes. Do you want to have people who are elected who are, you know, just the status quo that sit in behind a closed door and making decisions on their own without including you? Or do you want to be at the table? I wanted to be at the table. I wanted to know what was going on, and that is why I am on the city council today. But the difference is, I'm not going to be there by myself. I am trying to get you there with me. I need you there with me. I need to hear what your ideas are. I need to know what you want changed so that we can work on them together, because that is how the revolution is going to continue. That is how we're going to get change. So I'm giving you guys one task, just one. When you leave here today, I want you to go home and tell your family, tell your friends, I don't care where they live, what zip code, I don't care what state. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your neighbors to get out and vote. If they don't know who to vote for, help them figure it out. It's important. It starts here locally with us. And we have to weed out those people that are not working on our behalf and put people in that will and hold them accountable. It's that simple. Thank you.
All right, give another round of applause.
Shanae, beautiful words. And I hope that the people out there understand that protesting, it's good. But we need to look at the big picture. We need to come out and vote. It's through voting that we change the system, not just by complaining. Am I right or wrong?
I agree, but it's voting and then following up with the people who you voted for, right? But if they get into office, it's voting and making sure that you stay engaged. Make sure that you go to the city council meetings. Make sure that you go to the county legislator meetings. That you go to Albany and let your voices be heard. That you have conversations with your representatives and hold them accountable on the issues that are important to you. If you want your American dream to be realized, you have to work on those issues and you have to get change. And you have to break those systems down so that the system will work for you and not for a select few. That's what it means when you vote. It's not just vote and done, it's vote and continue.
Right, Shanae. But, you know, one of the things with you is you are able to articulate. And just like you, I'm saddened to see so few here today. And a week ago, we saw thousands walking all over Yonkers. Do you think that our youth understand that just a protest is not good enough? Like you said, we have to vote, you have to follow up, we have to hold elected officials accountable.
Right. I do think that there are young people who just don't believe in voting anymore because they don't believe in our government, and that is something that has to change. They have to recognize that in order to get change, you have to vote, because by way of voting, you're putting people in positions that will change laws that benefit you, so that when someone, is killed unfairly and unjustly, that there will be judges who will do the right thing because you're voting for those judges who will do the right thing. There will be, elected officials who will make laws to help the marginalized communities because you are a part of that marginalized community and you're telling them what the issues are that you need changed, right? So it's just making sure that you communicate and that you're demanding certain things from folks who are in positions of power, and that's how you're going to get change, not just by marching through the streets. And I think that that's the message that I want to share with people, and that's what I want to see other people talking about. And I want to see community engagement. I want to see organization.
Thank you, Chene. Guys, don't forget June 23rd, November 3rd are the 2 days coming up where you can change things that change the system. Thank you, Chene.
Thank you, Ruth.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 to 4. And we also have it on Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 4. If you want to make a difference, if you want to be represented, if you want to have a voice, then you just have to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I want to share another quote, 2 quotes. One is from Martin Luther King, and it's short. It says, "The time is always right to do the right thing," like Spike Lee. The second quote is, "The ballot is stronger than the bullet." That's from Abraham Lincoln. We need to go out and vote. I'm not going to stress this enough. Please go out and let your neighbors know all the new information on local voting. Shout out to Mimi Rocco, who printed out all the flyers for all of us to have. I'm going to pass them around. Everyone take one home. Take 2, put it on your building, put it in your elevator. If you go to see your grandma, leave one in her building. And also, I'm going to ask, if you have a car, don't forget to pick up a senior and bring them to the polling place. Because a lot of the seniors don't know that there's only 2 open in Yonkers. So please make sure you pick a senior up, bring them to the voting place. If they haven't already filled out an absentee ballot, we have absentee ballots here. We have voter registration forms. Any question you have, please come up. We'll help as any way possible. We also have a bunch of elected and candidates here. Ask them the questions. This is the time to know your candidate. Next, I want to call up Sammy Ravello, who's going to share who he is and what his platform is.
Awesome. What's going on, Yonkers? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This is very fitting that we are at Veterans Memorial. My name is Sammy Ravello, but today, my name is George Floyd. And I want to make sure that when I say what's my name, you guys say George Floyd. Because that's the reason why we're here. He woke up that strain that people weren't talking about. And we're going to make major changes. We are going to make major changes because of George Floyd. He doesn't know it. Obviously, he's not with us. But what's my name? What's my name? How you guys doing? My name is Sammy Ravello. I am also running for Congress in District 16. I am the other candidate. I am running just for that, to be the voices of those that have not been heard. This district is 2/3 Latino and African American, and yet we have a congressman that's been there 31 years. 31 years. And he's still there. Why is that? Why? You know, Jamal Bowman already said what he said in a mic, in an open mic where he got caught. He said he has a primary, and that's the reason why he's here. Otherwise, he would have been in Washington, in Maryland. That is pathetic. But you know why that happens? That happens to us, every one of us, because we didn't step up. We have not stepped up for the last 30 years. So it starts with us, not voting and not caring. I think Shanae hit it on the nose. We had a rally the other day that I was here, and there were thousands, and we were protesting the death of George Floyd. Thousands, and I guarantee you that if we would have been protesting the death of George Floyd, there would have been a lot more people here, but this is not appealing. It's about voting. So we're not going to show up. We need to end that, and it starts with every one of us here. So I challenge you to go out, take a few voter registrations, and get people to vote, and grab them by the hand and take them to the voting booth. Because that's how we're going to change. That's how they're going to hear us. I hope that after this election, when the votes are counted, 2/3 of the vote came from the minority community. I hope that. Because if it doesn't, then we didn't do our job. I'm a police veteran. I spent 26 years in the police. I know, I retired last year, and I'm the first one to say, the Minneapolis police, they effed up. But more importantly, I'm an Afro-Latino man, my whole life. And nobody can take that away from me. I want everybody here to make a pledge to yourself. I am going to register 3 people. 3 people before tomorrow night. Just 3. That's doable. Just grab 3 people, register them, and have them come out and vote. This is fitting. I am also a war veteran. I was a veteran of the Iraq War. Very proud of my service. Thank you. Thank you. 2 things that I want to change. The police commissioner here in Yonkers called me when everything happened and said, Sammy, what do you think we can do? He pledged to sit down with me, and we can go. I got some reforms that we can do, because there's no doubt about it. The police department, they need reform, and everybody here agrees. All right? They need to reform the way they do business. I know, and they know I know, because they can't BS me. I was there. I'm very proud of my service in the NYPD in 26 years, involved in 18,000 arrests. I never, ever got a civilian complaint. Never. Because I look at everybody and treated them with respect. I see a black man and Latino man, I see a man. I don't see a white man, black man, I see a man, and that's the way I treat it. I am Sammy Ravello. I am running for Congress in District 16. You have to come out and vote. Even if you don't vote for me, please make your voice heard. And next time we have a rally, a voting rally, everybody has to pledge to bring somebody with them, because this is important. Our lives depend on it. Thank you. I'm Sammy Ravello.
Thank you, Sammy.